In 3, 2, 1, action.
Hi, my name is Amara the Lesbian. Sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry. I know they were staring at me.
Oh, it was. Oh, awesome. Awesome. I'm good.
But I feel like my voice is not loud enough. Yeah, but there are like 2 mics. Why do I still need to speak up?
Can we cut and I'll start all over? Sorry. There's this particular event that strikes me so much, and whenever I think about it, I feel so bad. Was the day one of them invited me over to his place, and when I got there, he tried to like penetrate me, and I wasn't okay with that, so he tore my clothes, tore my trousers, tore my shirt, and I narrowly escaped him that evening. So when I got home, my mother asked me what happened, and I told her I went to the playground and I tore my stuff. So she beat me because of it, and it was just so much. I cried all night.
Like dating boys, men, whatever. It was nonsense. I won't lie. And it's not even because I'm queer or I date girls now, but it's just because of the world we are living in and how everything is set up. It's quite rubbish. I didn't used to respect, I didn't used to regard myself as shit. Like myself used to be nothing to me. I would throw myself, I used to give myself to men, to boys anyhow. Like I used to disrespect myself that year. But that period taught me so much about myself and taught me how to just respect myself.
My name is Matthew Blaise. My pronouns are he and they.
My name is Mariam Sule. My pronouns are she and her.
My name is Vincent, Desmond, and my preferred pronouns are he, him.
My name is Amara. Actually, like I honestly don't know what I am, but like, I'm still learning myself, so.
A lot of people know that the minimum wage in Nigeria is not up to $1,000, that is 36,000 naira. And a lot of people don't know what minimum wage is at all. So my family is one of those that don't know what minimum wage is. So the living condition was so bad. We were living in a room and we're 9 in that room sharing a small room. So for me, I did not even know what privacy was while growing up as a kid.
I grew up in Benin. I grew up wanting to be a doctor. I think that's what I remember most.
Growing up was fun, but growing up was stressful at the same time. It also had so many different experiences because I come from a multicultural background. So all of that blended in and it just made for so much happening. But at the same time, it was chaotic fun.
My family wasn't really the best or happiest feeling. I didn't really feel happy a lot as a growing child. I wasn't really happy a lot.
The area I grew up in, Lagos, was a slum, and there was always court clashes, gender inequality, events, child marriage, rape, and all this happening right in front of me. So I keep seeing all these things while growing up and keep thinking something would happen. But whenever these things happen around me and I feel so powerless to do anything, it makes me feel bad. And then I realized I was gay in this kind of environment where you think nothing like that can happen, where they think being gay is an expensive thing and it's for a particular class of people. I grew up in this environment. So when I realized it, I felt my only way to get away from it was to become a priest. So I told my mother about becoming a priest and she agreed. She loved me so much and she loved the idea of me becoming a priest.
I always just knew. But the thing about growing up is you know what you know, but they tell you what happens around here. So you either accept it and move on, or you keep asking questions. So for a while I accepted it and I moved on. So I forgot. And I became a Christian. I repented. I gave my life to Christ and I used to deliver people and I was a cell leader and all of that. Good times.
I don't have a moment where I discovered I was queer. I can't remember not knowing. I kind of always knew. I kind of always had the sense that yeah, there was something different and I was aware of what the different thing was. But I do remember when I was 4 or 5, my mom gifted me this mini dictionary and I remember when I looked up the word homosexual and I was like, oh yeah, that's the word, that's the label for me. So I think that was the moment where I realized and what was it?
I think I discovered my queerness. Well, discovery is different from knowing and admitting it. So I think I discovered my queerness in, I think as early as 5, 6. Yeah, but I didn't have a word for it. I just knew that I liked girls like a lot. Like I'll be watching music videos and the girls were always so attractive. Like I remember Michael Jackson's, I can't remember which song, but Naomi Campbell was in the video and she was so hot. And I remember being so attracted to her. But I didn't have a word for it. I knew that I would read books. I don't know if you know those books, questions girls ask or stuff like that. So you see stuff where they tell you don't engage in lesbianism and I'm saying the word and it's intriguing and I want to know what lesbianism is. I felt, after a while, I felt like the word described me, but I couldn't just say it. And then I went to boarding school and I met a lot of girls, obviously. And I knew I liked them, but I didn't know that it was not friendship-like. I thought it was, you know, I just wanted this girl to be my friend. Until I got to SS3 and a girl kissed me and, you know, I realized, okay, so yeah. But then I would describe myself as bisexual or I was just curious or I was just wild or whatever. So I didn't know until I think I went to uni and I started dating this other person who she already had some understanding of what it meant to be queer. So yeah, I think dating her, like being with her, sort of helped me see, and then yeah, that's how I discovered my queerness and that's how I knew.
I know a lot of us are familiar with the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act, but even before that was passed, there were other laws that were in place that basically criminalized homosexuality. One of those laws is the Criminal Code. The Criminal Code, it applies to the states in the southern states in Nigeria, and it basically says, okay, if you have any person that has carnal knowledge that is against the order of nature, whatever that means. So any person who has carnal knowledge that is against the order of nature, like 14 years in prison. And then the penal code that applies in the north also has similar provisions with similar punishments. But then the Sharia law, I think the Sharia law is applicable to like in 12 states in northern Nigeria, and the Sharia law basically prescribes death by stoning as an adequate punishment for homosexuality. And then we now have the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act. So what that one basically says is, what it basically prohibits is the marriage or civil union between same-sex, and then it punishes that by 14 years imprisonment. And then it prohibits the registration or the forming of any gay association or clubs and all of that. And this makes it a bit difficult for associations that want to be formed to help queer people to be formed, because that one is now criminalized. So I think the punishment for that is about 10 years. And then there's also a punishment for public display of same-sex relationships. So you can hold hands, you can touch in public if you're a same-sex couple, and basically that's it.
The anti-gay laws in Nigeria are not just contributing to blackmail and extortion queer people face. They are in a way facilitating them themselves. People are justified by the mere reason that these laws give them power to look down on these people, to treat them anyhow or dehumanize them. And a lot of times when you see people who have murdered queer people, who have blackmailed queer people, who have extorted queer people, they are justified, and they keep echoing to you that the law gives me the power to do this. So it's not just contributing, it's actually in a way perpetrating these actions in some kind of superior guiding principle for them. And there's a lot of cooperation, or there's a lot of effort to enforce the law for even regular Nigerians who are not supposed to be enforcing anything. People feel like, there are laws in Nigeria that even criminalize, armed robbers. You don't see regular Nigerians going to the streets with guns trying to be vigilantes. There's something different when it comes to anti-LGBT laws. It somehow makes regular people police officers. They feel the need to enforce the law. They feel empowered. They feel like they are doing justice in a way.
I wanted to become a priest because I needed to shield something. I was just 10 years old, 10, 12, 14, when these thoughts were all going on in my head. So I joined Altar Server, and there, a lot of things were just happening to me. I was always beaten because I preferred being with girls, because I don't feel safe with boys. So they beat me for not feeling safe with boys. And they beat me for being feminine. They just beat me for whatever reasons they want to beat me for. So a lot of these things happened while I was a kid, and the people I thought I could get to know this, to understand this, and show me love, get me to a place where I would feel peace and comfort, were not ever available for me. They were not close to me. Whenever I told my mother about this occurrence, how they beat me in church and all that, she's not so concerned about it. She feels it's a way to make me a better person, whereas they weren't doing anything to me. They were just destroying me while I was a kid.
I mean, they sent me out of their house in the heat of an argument. But a few months later, when I met my mom again, I was like, how are you doing? She was like, you stopped visiting us. I'm like, well, you sent me out. I was like, no. You know what we say, anger does not stay, and all of that. I don't feel good around them. There's just something unnecessary. There's this disregard of my being. Is either they're talking about a man, a supposed man I'm going to marry, or something. There's this disregard of my being. It's like, I've told you who I am, but you want to disregard it and just tell me what you want to tell me. There's this. So I don't like being in spaces where either I have to hide myself or pretend or act like I'm okay with what you're saying when I'm not. I just stay away. Gradually, I just saw myself losing the need to want to impress my parents because my life became hard. The movement from being a child to an adult is you realize your life is hard and nobody will do it for you, you do it for yourself. So if you still do your own life and still give someone else credit, then you something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with you.
My mom's a Christian and my dad's a Muslim, so I think generally religion has not been, it has been a strong force, but it's not as strong as most people who have both parents as Christians and both parents as Muslims. So there was that. So I think religion did play into me not wanting to admit that, okay, this is who I am for a while, but I don't think it was that strong. But the religious thing came a lot later, like when I was already, by the time I was already with that person, because while we were dating, she decided to, you know, convert to Christianity. And while she was a Christian, there were so many other things that we had to start doing because she was now a Christian. And so I think that was the only time that religion actually affected how I thought about my sexuality. For instance, she was imposing or celibacy. There was the whole celibacy thing. Her idea of it was we could be queer, but we couldn't indulge in it. Her argument was Paul in the Bible, because Paul didn't have any relationships with anybody, so it's possible that he may have been gay, but then he didn't indulge in it and whatnot, or Jesus. So yeah, so that was her idea. That was the only time I felt religious pressure around my sexuality. Apart from that, I don't think, because I'm not a religious person, so yeah. I
did not struggle per se, because I always had this sense that this was who I was. I always had this sense there was something different. So when you kind of grow up with that, there's no need to struggle. It's like struggling with being black. I kind of always was, so I didn't have that struggle personally. What I did have struggle with was kind of finding a balance between religion and sexuality, and like realizing how the world viewed queer people. I think that was like the actual struggle. However, personally, as a person within me, I never had a struggle. I had any kind of form of struggle with my sexuality.
Working as a queer person trying to tell queer stories, the spaces in Nigeria are relatively small, you know. So the queer spaces we have right now, they're not well funded, to be honest, you know, and they do need as much support as we can give them, but we don't have that right now. So it means that we are always trying to, you know, sell our ideas to publications outside of, like, you know, the country, you know. So there is a lot of disparity between, like, experiences. So for instance, when I was writing my in New York Times piece, basically I had to explain a lot. So I had to explain why LGBT issues in Nigeria are a thing. You know, I had to explain the SSMP law. Even after sending a link, you know, I had to break down how it affected people in real time. So there's often a lot of over explanations going on. You have to always explain why your story is important. Even no matter how descriptive you can go, no matter how dire the story is, you always find yourself explaining and defending why your story deserves to be told. To be honest, I would say that Nigeria's content space in itself, text-based content in itself, journalistic space, whatever, is really just like not where it should be, because there are only a handful of like really great publications out there. And I personally, when I started writing, I personally did not pitch many Nigerian outlets, mainstream outlets, because the way they covered and still cover LGBTQI issues in Nigeria is still very homophobic. It tries to, you know, spark hate basically amongst people. I mean, Punch literally ran a piece asking heterosexual people
what they thought, not even asking them what they thought, but asking them if they consider homosexuality to be evil or not. And that's like already, that's like coming from a prejudiced place already, you know. So when you see those kind of things, it just stops you from even trying to pitch to them.
Everybody who is creating content for queer people or about queer people has to do it in hush-hush tones or cover it under the umbrella term of human rights, or just basically avoid certain terminologies, and those terminologies are needed. Like, you have to actually name a thing and say this is what's happening and these are the people we are talking about and these are their stories, for it to really, you know, hit home the way we'd expect. But if you do that, sometimes you get your work banned, or you get people throwing hate and vitriol on you on social media, and it's really difficult, I think, to put out art that specifically names queer people and queer experiences. But I think that there are people finding ways. I'm really excited about Ife that's coming out. People are really finding interesting ways to share their art. It's unfortunate, really, because ideally we should just be able to create art and not have too many questions asked, or not have such bad adverse reactions, because what we're really trying to do is just, you know, tell our lived experiences, which is not like a whole terrorist idea or bad, you know, I don't know, it doesn't make sense how criminalized it's been. You can't really just make a film about two lovers and just put it on social media and say this is my film, or you can't show it on Nollywood and say these are Nigerians who are. It doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, that's a huge problem for me, the fact that we are not able to name these things for what they are. Yeah.
Being queer wasn't even the center of my freedom. It was just, my life became hard. My life became my life. It just became my life, and oh God, and it was hard. And there was no way I was going to finish doing all of that and then start hiding from one person that, oh, I like girls now. Like, we've always known, but like now I'm saying it to you that I like it. I wasn't going to hide it after I'm paying my bills, after I'm breathing this air, after my bad days will come, my depression. You know, my girlfriend knows how explosive my depressive days are. Like, there are days she's begging God to please not take this girl. Please. My ex-boyfriend used to kneel down and pray. Like, I remember this one time, he was kneeling on my bed and praying. That's how hard my life and the struggle between life and death has been for me. So, please, why? Just didn't make sense. That was regarding my parents and not living my truth. My life became hard and I was living it. So, I started telling everybody, okay, this is my life, because I'm living it, I'm doing it. It's not like anybody's helping me out, so, okay, this is my life now, or this is my life.
I don't think I can get a job in Nigeria because, man, my name is out there. I've trended on Linda Ikeji, I've trended on Instablog, I've trended on Vanguard newspaper, and they put it out there, gay Nigerian. Imagine me going for an interview and they search my name online and they see all these things. Who would give me a job? Nobody, unless human rights organizations and all that. So it's crazy. Even at school, they make your life. I am still in school, and in school, my life is always miserable. I'm always running from one place to the other because I am scared of being killed or being harassed and being assaulted by people. So it's not easy at all being open about yourself. It's not easy. Even progressive people that sometimes you think they can influence conversations by bringing out confirmed logic and sensible arguments, they don't, because the homophobia really blinds your eyes to logic. You just don't reason because of this homophobia that blindfolds you. So you are in a classroom, instead of trying to find ways to make people know that homosexuality is valid, and even if you want to use science, it is still valid. But no, you still go ahead to promote your hate with your old self. So it is crazy. Sometimes I will be in my class, and out of the blues, the lecturer will just come and start asking me silly questions. Are you a man or a woman? Are you this or that? Guy, you are looking at me. You are looking at me. Stop asking me stupid questions. And these people are doctors. They are professors. They are not everyday people. So you expect a form of tolerance from them, even if they are not like accommodating to gay people. But there should be a form of tolerance because they are learned. But you don't get these things. They are always stupid, like the average Nigerians. So yes, the challenges are too much. Sometimes they are overwhelming, and not that I even have any option than to just continue going with them and continue living my life as I want.
Stress. It's just really, really stressful. Very, very stressful. Sometimes it's fun because like there's a bunch of people like me who know, but then other times it's like going out and you're feeling, does this person know? Does that person know? Do they want to attack me? Do they want to do this? It's being in a gathering and you can't really talk. For me, I won't talk. Like if I see that you're being homophobic, I'll just zone out of the conversation. It's those sort of things. Sometimes it's going out to places like Tears, having cute conversations and being happy that there's a bunch of people. But other times is being stopped by the police and you're wondering why the fuck, like, is it because of this, is it because of that, like what's going to happen now? Yeah, so all in all, I would describe it as stress. It's not worth it.
Stressful. It's stressful. It's you need a tough skin. Every now and then I have people who are randomly my DMs being violent, saying lots of weird things. I have someone who is still creating accounts upon accounts to threaten me for no reason, and saying weirdly graphic things. It's being visible, especially online, is just knowing that you're exposing yourself to trolls, to homophobes, to bullying and everything. You just have to accept that with it. E.g., was it last month or so, I tweeted something, I tweeted a joke, and then Instablog put it up on their Instagram page and on their Twitter, and I had like an unbelievable influx of homophobia directed to my account. At some point, I had to deactivate for a bit. I had to lock my account, but even then, it still got to my department's WhatsApp group, and lots of things were said. Lots of threats were made. Eventually, they had to remove me from the WhatsApp group. Like it was horrible. There were lots of things that were said, which I will like. A part of me is still scared, like of when universities reopen and I have to go back to school. But it is what it is, and that's just how it is. Like, for the most part, I avoid straight people, which makes it easier to avoid homophobia. But every now and then, they still find me, unfortunately.
We will be talking about how being queer affects your mental health.
Personally, it's a topic really, because being queer on its own is not supposed to be such an issue. But then if you put a queer person...
The Pride Diaries is a podcast exploring African Nigerian queers. Nigerian queers are my focus for now, but I would like to explore African queers in general. So the Pride Diaries started in 2016-17 in my room in Ilorin. I was talking to a friend who is also queer, and I was also with another friend. So we were three in a room, and we were just gisting about how we knew that we were queer. And I realized that this is something that should be a thing. I want to talk to other people about how they knew that they were queer as well. So I called all the queer friends that I knew, And I told them, this is what I think I want to do. I want to start a podcast. And they all agreed. So I asked them to send in voice notes, and they did. And I compiled the very first episode of Pride Diaries. And since then, I have chosen different topics of what I think other queer people have stories to tell about. And then I compile the stories and, you know, make an episode. I have had people from, funny enough, I've had people from like Kenya, other people from other countries join in and stuff. And I've also had people help me reproducing the podcast.
Here's the thing, I've worked for Nigerian media publications, and I know how they are when it comes to queer stories. They want the sad stuff. They want the, oh, this queer person was killed, this queer person was beaten. They want, those are the kind of stories they want, because those are the stories that Nigerians in general want about queer people. I wanted more than that. I wanted to actually tell proper stories that were, obviously some were bad, some were good. I wanted to tell proper stories that were wholesome, that encapsulated like a lot and everything. Nigerian publications would just never let me like have that. They would never give me the space to tell stories about queer people the way I wanted to. So I just ditched them and put my focus on spaces where I felt like my voice would be heard and also importantly rewarded well.
This is your friend Amara. This is your friend Amara. This is your friend Amara the Lesbian. Amara the Lesbian. The Lesbian. The Lesbian. I've always loved documenting my life or where I'm at in life, because, like I said, I've never felt, because I grew up very alone. Even though I grew up with people, I grew up very alone. So the one person I trust very well is myself and versions of myself. So when I'm feeling very happy about something, or when I feel very enlightened, or I feel very knowledgeable, I write to myself, I tell myself, this is what you've learned right now. So in case you're ever confused. In fact, like last night, there was something that was bothering me. I was very hurt about something. I told myself, like, you've written about this before. Go and check all your journals. You've written about this. You've told yourself what to do when you come here. So YouTube for me was like a documenting process, just a way to keep telling myself something. If you watch my, like before even me documenting my queer living, if you watch my other videos, like my back videos, if I watch them today, it seems like love letters to myself. Like they sound like love letters to myself. There are some like my very bad days, I will go back to like, okay, young Amara, what did you have to say to me? And that was what YouTube was for me.
I think what the SSMPA did was basically make a bad situation worse, because now people have the official authority to now instigate violence against queer persons. And then ever since the SSMPA was passed, there's been reports of more cases of violence against queer persons, and like it has done more harm than good, because now there are cases where queer persons or people that are perceived to be queer, they are stopped, they are harassed, they are arbitrarily arrested, unlawfully detained, and then this now leads to extortion, because these persons feel like, okay, it's better to pay a huge sum of money to the police than to face the whole trial and then like gets locked up for 14 years. So a lot of queer persons are being extorted by both state and non-state actors. They are blackmailed, they are beaten. It basically just empowered homophobic Nigerians to instigate violence against queer persons.
A lot of the challenges that we hear, or that are very common, are typically around socio-economic oppression. You have people who, when they come to terms with their sexuality, with their gender identity and expression, they are met with homelessness, they are met with being fired from their jobs, and that already creates a system where everything that's basically bad for Nigerians, like police brutality and sexual violence, that just adds to all that in the atmosphere in the community already. So that's just some of the challenges, but mainly make up most of the challenges queer people face in Nigeria.
I wish there were books. I wish there were more books. I wish there were more photographs. I wish there were more art, anything that I can easily, that young queer people now can easily access, and that can help us enable us understand what it was like to be queer at the time, and to really understand how they fought, what they did, how they existed. I'm really curious about that. So I think that's what we're doing now. We're literally leaving a huge comprehensive body of work, of like a template for people coming, behind it, so that when younger people are coming up, they're able to say this is what they did, right? So we can take it up from here and take it up a notch. It can be bolder than we are right now. You can possibly go into the street, run, protest and stuff. We're doing this mostly online because I feel like right now our space we have right now is just virtual power. A lot of the young people I know who are speaking out right now don't have a lot of social power to be able to take the risk of protesting outside. And there's a thing with, maybe one person might want to do it, but other people might not want to do it. So I feel like the generation coming up might possibly be bolder and may not want to take as much as we're taking right now. So, but if they're going to have to do that, there should be like a template that we left behind for them. And I'm so glad that if I click on, say, Nigerian podcasters, there is information. If I click on Nigerian movies, there is information. If I click Nigerian journalism, Nigerian queer journalism, there's information on that. So there's information on literally everything that defines what it means to be queer right now, and I'm really, really happy about that. And I think that's why it's important that we're talking.
To help empower and to help, support this generation of queer people who are living out and proud and all that, I think all stakeholders involved need to find ways to protect them, protect their jobs, protect their safety, find them houses, find them, I know it sounds dramatic, but if you can link a queer person up with, something that will put some bread on their table, do it. Like, it's difficult out there in these streets. I mean, it's really hard, especially if you present a certain way that is against the norm. And you mean you're straight passing, you can avoid the conversation of your queerness or whatever. But a lot of the time, if you're mask presenting as a woman or if you're femme as a man, people just immediately assume that you're queer, and it makes it difficult to go into certain spaces or to go for job interviews So I think if you are a queer person, closeted or out, and you're in a position of power, you can give these people jobs, give them jobs, and don't give them jobs with the conditions that they have to do this or they have to, stifle themselves, suppress themselves. Give them jobs where they can come in the fullness of themselves, because the more at home they feel in their bodies, the better their, output will be, the more creative they get, so it will benefit you as the employee as well. So give them jobs. Give them houses if you can. Give them money. Just protect them, help them, because it's not easy in the streets, I won't lie. So yeah, that's just.
All the validation I needed, I got it meeting these people and knowing, okay, yes, nobody let me talk this thing. But now I'm like, okay, we passed the validation point. We're now at a point of, freedom of expression. Just express yourself, live, breathe, live every day. I don't think I'm at the place where I need community. Yes, I do. Lagos has taught me the reason why if I think like I don't need people, like I'll stay in my small house, I'll smoke my weed, I'll drink my tea, Lagos is teaching me why you need people. It's so beautiful to see that. So yeah, actually, I would honestly, this year into next year, I'll honestly, Jenny, start opening my heart. Yinka knows that, God, all the houses inside of my heart have locks. I'm locked them. I've gathered the keys somewhere. But I think I'm going to start. Because my family fucks me up real bad that I don't...
Just knowing, like, going out and seeing one person, even though you don't know that person before, just being able to tell, and that person can also tell that you're queer, and then you guys give each other a look, and yeah, that's knowing. That's my favorite part, actually.
It gives me so much joy seeing like young Nigerians embrace their sexuality, not embrace it quietly, but embrace it loudly, and in these very public spaces, knowing fully well what it means, knowing fully well that it means they will be alienated possibly from opportunities, from their friends, from schools, from everything. So the fact that they are aware of all of this and still chill, it gives me so much joy, and it gives me so much hope for the future. And it's very, very heartening to know that we'll have queer adults someday and elders who never at some point thought that their queerness was up for debate or a game or anything. It's I love to say it. It just gives me so much joy. Yeah. Okay, so 3. Okay, so 3,